What's the farthest you've gone to impress a crush? I once put a 1500 piece puzzle of a playing field together and wrote a love note on the back for her. I then took it apart piece by piece and repackaged it to give her as a present because she told me she really liked puzzles. I later found out she donated it after I had given it to her because it looked too hard to make. I didn't have the same feelings after that. Joined football in junior high. We were kind of on again off again, but she was my friend and we hung out a lot when we weren't together. I was at her house and she dared me to try out for football. I told her she had to be a cheerleader if I did. I was a burnout skater kid and she was a band nerd, so both were out of our comfort zones. I had never even seen a football game. I made it, but was on like third string. Worked my way up to backup, practiced harder and became a first string linebacker, which then got me on powerlifting and track. Figured if I was all athletic and stuff she'd want to date me. She cheered for like one game, sat out for the rest. Then she started dating my friend. It contributed to us not being friends in high school. I wrote her a love poem. It was an acrostic, except her name was the acrostic. I boldly hatched a plan to put it on her desk before English class started. I folded it up and wrote her name on it. Took my seat as far away from her as possible. Then she came into the room a few minutes later and my heart leaped into my throat as she read it. A smile arose on her face. Her friend came and sat next to her. They giggled and she blushed as she said that her boyfriend must have written it. I cringe. Edit. Does anyone want to see the poem? Further edit. Okay guys, here is the poem below. I hope it's good. Even further edit. Some spacing. Clear waters of blue. Liquid beauty are your eyes. And the words here are true. Rare wonder of you and the skies. Admiring are the stars. Paralyzing is your gaze. Only your beauty could outmatch the sun. Lovely defines you out of thousands of ways. And only lovely defines you so. Not another word diminishes your voice, for it's the loveliest I've heard. Emailing an old band on MySpace to put up one of their lesser known songs. This girl saw them live in middle school and wished she still had this one song. It was called Hey Hollywood Your Mom. They ended up putting it up and I sent her the link. This is probably gonna get buried at this point, but she was very good at playing the violin and had to and play in a concert in Spain. I got a plane ticket, cost me almost a full month's salary plus the accommodation, without telling her, and went very early to the entrance and sat there. When she saw me with her face of I don't understand what's going on, I said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" She laughed like crazy. We dated 3.5 years. When I was young I really liked a girl in the year above me at school. Her friends told me if I liked her I should get her something, a gift, a nice ring or something. My parents didn't have that much money, so I was stuck at what to do. I raided my mum's jewelry box until I found a cool ring. Gave it to her the next day. She handed it back at the end of the day and dumped me. Bad times. Seems really decent to at least give it back. Pretended to be a brony. I don't want to talk about those dark times. Late edit. She asked me if I was a brony. Being 15 I automatically assumed that it was something cool and said yes. I had to marathon the show by myself so I could keep up the ruse for another week or so until I gave up. Haven't spoken to her since. She worked at a flower shop. I called and asked them to get her to make a beautiful arrangement and bring it to her a few minutes later with a note from me, just because. Take notes boys. She's been mine ever since. I got off of work at 9 PM and he worked third shift, so I made a bunch of food from scratch and bought some Italian soda and brought it to work with me. I brought a change of clothes too. I reheated the food in the microwave after my shift and changed into this cute girl next door skirt. I brought it all to this lake that was right by my work where I had told him to meet me and surprised him with a picnic. Then he headed off to work after eating. Stayed up all night sewing him a mole for extra credit in high school chemistry on mole day. It was a surprise after he lamented to me how he needed the extra credit but ran out of time and lacked sewing skills. As far as cool kids go, I don't think most of them are hiding under their covers at 3 AM on a Thursday night and suing a small burrowing mammal. Whatever, it worked. Not long term, but got myself the high school sweetheart of my 15-year-old dreams. Walked across town almost every day for a month. to meet my crush at a public library. He's a lot younger than I am, and when we started dating he was still in high school, and I was not. There's a law in my area that if you're within 5 years of each other it's okay, but I'm 5 years and 10 days older, so we would meet up in the library in secret. He told his parents as soon as he turned 18. We'll have been dating for 5 years as of this October. My early senior year of high school I became infatuated with an exchange student from Ukraine. I started a minor dog walking business, so I would have some extra cash. I practiced Russian for weeks, learned the entire alphabet, and became capable of a very simple conversation. I never talked to her a whole lot, because I was waiting till I was better at Russian. I found out through a friend I made her feel uncomfortable, because she figured out I had a crush. I never got to have that Russian conversation. I wrote a musical for my then best friend, with whom I was quite madly in love. In spectacular teen fiction tradition, I made a self-insert character and based another off her. Turns out that, even though I've moved on from her, 5 years later, the musical is pretty good, and I'm currently working on the final version. It has a good chance of being performed next year. No regrets. We were all night sledding and drinking one night. Her sled slid across the ice on the top of this creek, which was about 15 feet wide or so. I told her I'd get it back. She told me I'd fall through the ice. I told her I wouldn't, and the ice would hold me. She was right, and about 4 feet from the sled I stepped, and fell into chest deep ice cold flowing water. But I got that ducking sled. I went home, and changed clothes, and when we all met back up she had Irish hot chocolate for me. She's married now though. I was crushing harder on my GF than she was on me, so I needed to step up my game. I knew that her biological parents had both passed, separately and years apart. I also knew that she had no real recollection of her mom or dad, since she was left with her stepmom at a young age after her dad passed. I hatched a plan. Some would call it stalker-like, but it worked better than I could have imagined. I had met her aunt and grandmother, her real mom's family, and asked if they had any pictures of her mom and or dad from when she was younger. I collected as many as I could and put them in chronological order for a photo album I was making. I gave it to her for Christmas 2 years ago. She got 2 pages into the album and broke into tears. She hugged me harder than I've ever been hugged before and just sobbed. She had never seen 90% of the pictures I got from her family, so most of it was completely new for her. She showed it off to everyone that came over, including my ex-wife. Knowing that I had given her something that meant so much was an amazing feeling. Last year, she gave up big city life in Chicago to come live with me in Nowhere, Michigan, 6 hours from her friends and family. In August, we will be together for 3 years, and I still do things like that for her to make sure she knows how much she means to me. I was strongly encouraged by a girl I was flirting with to get a tattoo, as I was planning to anyway, and she helped encourage me. I did it because I wanted to impress her originally, but I think I used that as an excuse to do what I didn't have the balls to do prior. I do not regret it, and I'm glad. 1 year update. I regret it. In grade 7, I really liked this one girl. On my birthday, I decided to ask her out, but first we would go on a walk and I took her out to eat. It was my birthday that day, but it was also the same day as my last volleyball game, so I quit the team. My coach wouldn't let me join the basketball team if I didn't play that game. I quit the team, but I forgot to get money, so I went home with her and got my secret stash of Chinese New Year's money. A wonderful night, but I didn't end up asking her out. To Germany, from America. I had this crush on a girl at my church and she signed up to go on a mission trip to Germany, so I signed up for the mission trip too. It didn't help. Later, after I gave up and graduated and got a job, I ran into her and she started talking about how much more confident and less creepy I was now. Spent like an hour for a whole week teaching this girl I knew about computer hardware because she wanted to become a PC gamer and knew nothing about technology. Then after a few days she mentioned that her friend thought I was cute. Her friend also rejected me. The girl I had a huge crush on for so long finally agreed to go out on a date with me. She asked me to pick her up from her house on Friday. This was Tuesday. I did not know how to drive, but I never told her that. Literally pleaded my dad to let me try and drive his car. Taught myself how to drive in 2 days and went on that date with my crush. We have been married 7 years this year. Got any similar stories? Leave it in the comments below.